All right. Motherhoodsexmarijuana.com. New logo, new things. Don't forget to come and check us out at motherhoodsexmarijuana.com. Go to our featured products. Yes, check out our $20 one click called A Valentine to My Body. Make sure you get yourself a copy of that book. And of course, to continue to support us, go to shop.spreadshirt.com/MSM gear. New things, new logo, new things to come through and support. Motherhoodsexmarijuana.com. I am Kai Storm. This is season 3. Be in the building, G. Go through shit, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, if we're doing, you know what I'm saying, if we there's times that, you got to walk away in order to figure it out, and then and that's nothing against you. That's just, you know what I'm saying, you not letting the only thing that would be against you is if you was to let, what's fucking with you just keep you down. You know what I'm saying? Is the fact that you still trying to get up and fight the fight is the main goal. Like, you gotta keep going. You know what I mean? You can't let that, no, you know what I mean? Because first and foremost, the universe, the everything that controls your situation, I truly believe is not going to give you something that you can't handle. Yes, it might be real as fuck and hard as fuck, but it's definitely something that you can find a way to maneuver and you know what I mean? And fuck around, it might just be a challenge. It just might be just a challenge to wake up the normality that's going on in your life. You know what I'm saying? And you got to turn around and hit that challenge right back. Like, bitch, you hit like a fucking pussy. Fuck out of here. You ain't, who right, you talking to? You know what I'm saying?
That's right, Queen. So, you're not destroying nothing over here.
You ain't fucking with nothing over here.
You know thank you for that. Thank you for those words of truth. We are. And I came to the other day, I was like, wow, what a blessing it is that motherhood, sex, marijuana, for example, is so much greater than us all. Then it's greater than any one person. It's greater than anything because it's a community. And the community that ties us together are these shared interests, the perspectives that each of us have and that others have that are even listening to this. Someone could be listening to this and not even, making it known that they are. Amazing. Word. As long as it benefits you in any way. Please understand that we don't know everything, but we're real ass mothers specifically that go through real shit every fucking day. And we choose because we see we have no choice but to see the bigger picture. There's one person that I will never complain about life to would be probably a Black woman, to be honest with you, or a Black man. I can't in this realm. I just can't, because there's certain, but one thing I can do is be transparent, with my own struggles and my own battles. And there's sometimes where I'm like, dude, I need some help with this. I need some advice.
Word. And I mean, and we all need advice. You know what I mean? Because first of all, the whole statement about, it takes a village, that shit is for real. Like, you can't do nothing by yourself. Like, you need to, you know what I mean, a team in order to build a true empire. And you know what I'm saying? And even as you're building that empire, you need all the people that you need. They have to, they might have to switch hats in order to, be productive in their situation, but they're needed, you know what I mean? And they're part of the whole structure in the first place that is success, you know what I mean? So just looking at us as an example, like literally when we look back at 2 years ago, like literally 2 years ago when we were just starting, you know what I mean? Nobody knew about us. We didn't have, you know what I'm saying? We were just figuring out how we were gonna, you know, what we were going to talk about, when we were going to talk, and you know what I'm saying, and
having
how we
faith in ourselves the whole time.
It was all a figure, you know, it was just all a figuring it out of the plan. And now 2 years later, yes, we're not, you know, 100,000 subscribers, 1 million subscribers, but we damn sure got more subscribers than we started. You know what I mean?
And everybody is so appreciated.
And we have made so many strides, you know what I mean, as far as our merch, and as far as, you know, our reach to people and everything we talk about. So it's like the journey is definitely, it didn't happen with just me. It didn't happen with just you. It happened with you know, a whole bunch of pieces involved. There was even pieces that are no longer involved now, but yet they were involved in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like Camille is the one that gave us our first logo. You know what I mean? And she, you know what I mean? Like that logo was rocking for a minute before we got the new one, because the new one is obviously rocking more because it's our faces. But I'm saying our first one, you know what I mean, represented the beginning, the foundation, the front stages, and you know what I mean. And even though you know, Camille is not a part of the journey now, she definitely was a big part of the foundation.
Absolutely.
You know
very vital roles along the way. And as with anything, I think there is a we can make the analogy of like LeBron, right? LeBron is fucking amazing. He's close to a god when it comes to this basketball game, and not to mention the other stuff that he's great at.
Exactly.
But there's a whole team behind him. So there's not just him making everything happen, just as amazing as he is. Because like my sis said, it takes a village, it takes a team, whether it comes from an organization or parenting, or you're trying to make a project. Even at school, there's a reason why I'm sure they have you working in groups. There's a reason why when you go into like intensive, you know, workshops, they have activities where you have to engage with other people. You know what I'm saying? And so it's crucial to our survival as social beings to share and to bounce ideas off of each other. Exactly. And once somebody thinks that it's just all about them, like if I were to be like, oh, everything great about my kids comes from me, the moment that I think like that, the moment the universe slaps me in the face and be like, bitch, hold on. There's other factors involved. Hey. You could be you, and who's to say that you are truly the best mom in the world, because that too is relative. And it's really humbling, because it makes me want to check myself. And I feel like when I can hold my head high and be like, nah, no one can tell me shit about my character. That's the power.
Word.
Regardless, man. Yes.
You know what I mean? And again, as part of growth is acknowledging your faults, acknowledging where you messed up, and learning from your mistakes. You know what I mean? And motherhood definitely is a road that, yeah, you're gonna make mistakes. Even if you got 3, 4, 5 kids, it's not that by the 5th kid you know what you're doing, and therefore you're not gonna get nothing wrong. Oh no, the first kid, the second kid, every kid is going to have something where something went wrong, and you have to go, oh, okay, let me figure out how to fix this, and let me figure out how to not do this again. It's all encompassing. You know what I mean? It's all encompassing, because the end of the day, none of us are here doing everything perfect. Everything has a learning curve. Everything, you know what I'm saying? There's a chance where you might mess up. There's a chance where, you know, you're not going to be able to do shit wrong or do shit the way it needs to be done. Hey, it's all part of life. And you got to learn to, you know, say part of self-love is learning how to forgive yourself when, you know what I mean, when something happens like that. You know what I mean? You're not learning if you constantly beat yourself up over a mistake. That's not part of the learning curve. The whole learning curve is you figure out the mistake, you see exactly where the hell you went wrong, you figure out how not to do that again, and then you forgive yourself for, you know, making that mistake, and then you move on because you learned your lesson. You took the time to learn your lesson. So,
man, thank God we don't gotta wear a mask anymore. I've been breaking out, wearing these masks everywhere, girl. I don't have the fortunate blessing of your flawless skin, but I'm embracing everything, scars and all.
Girl, I'm gonna tell you right now, the other day, because the mask thing is lifted in New York City as far as schools and like restaurants and shit like that, and they're talking about lifting it for like athletes and like big gatherings too, because because right now in the NBA, I'm watching I watch basketball, so that's how I could actually talk about this. But the NBA in New York hasn't let one of their basketball players on the Brooklyn Nets team play in New York because he refused to take the shot. And so now they're switching it to where he can now play because they done changed the rules and lifted the mandate so that he can now play and don't have to worry about the shot. Now, while all of this is going on now, and the MTA, which is the Department of Transportation in New York City, bus and trains, and them people ain't even wearing masks. So even with all of that information, I get on the bus about 2 days ago on my way home, and you know what I'm saying, and I'm tired. I'm ready to get in the house to get my high on and do what I need to do for myself and my family. And this woman is sitting in front of me. She got a mask. First of all, she had 2 masks on. She had 2 masks on, and there was a chick sitting next to her like this, eating a whole plate of Chinese food on the bus. And this bitch had the audacity to look at my face because I was standing in front of her with no mask on. She decides to tell me, excuse me, could you go stand over there because you're standing in front of me with no mask on? And I literally just looked at her and said, bitch, I will not engage in your fuckery today. You can get up and fucking move, and you can leave me the fuck alone. Okay.
Good for you.
And
she said it.
I put my headphones on, and she got up and moved and was talking shit. I ain't hear nothing she said because I was like, bitch, shoot, Jay-Z singing right now. I ain't got time for whatever the fuck you saying. Jay-Z is telling me about the bricks that he used to sell in 96. I'm just saying, the bricks he used to push back in the day is what he talking about in my ear. I don't even know what you're talking about. Because we on a bus, and the bus driver ain't wearing a mask, but and there's a chick sitting next to you eating Chinese food, but you worried about me though. Oh no, you worried about me though. Oh,
wrong move, lady, or whatever.
No, you misdirecting you chose violence, and you misdirecting your violence choice because I ain't the one or 2 or 3. I can't. It
makes me think of, and again, I'm not getting political by this statement by any means, but it kind of reminds me of when Trump was in office. And it's like, the Trump supporters were the ones that were worse than any other people because they were highly emotional, highly judgmental, highly uninformed, right? And so it's just like, it just makes me think of that. And it's like this panic that the media puts out in correspondence with whatever agenda is happening by the powers that be is what causes the manic, right? And then people not being connected to their third eye and not being conscious of self are just giving into it because they're just like, oh my God, well, this is it. Let's go buy up all the toilet paper. It's that same shit. Let's go buy up all the water. Let's go buy up all the toilet paper because the world's ending. And then it's like, okay, well then on a logical tip, why is, just like in reference to your story about this athletic player, all of a sudden he's able to make these changes because he probably has a great lawyer or a great, I would say a team behind him, giving him counsel, and he's able to get away with it. Plus his pockets are deep. So you can change situations for yourself in this realm, apparently, when you have influence, money, power, resources, and when enough people are sucking on your dick. So it's like all these mandates that just don't make sense because, okay, it's lifted on what? On a restaurant level because the restaurant industry is plummeting and because you guys got to make more money or what? Everybody's out of their like free government money. What's the issue? So there's all these like things that rue without really having very much like, other than my intuition knows that this shit's not right. All these lift mandates, like I can go before they lifted the mandate here in Seattle. I went to fucking Utah because they're a republic state. No one had to wear a mask.
Exactly.
So it's about how it's not like getting into politics that I'm saying. It's understanding. We have to understand how these rules and how these people in power are affecting our lives personally. That's why we care. I know it's corrupt. I'm not going to change it. It's going to stay corrupt way past my existence here. But how do we utilize the knowledge of this system, have the knowledge of gaining resources however we can and utilizing it to our benefit?
Well, let me just jump in and say, we got an email from our guest, and he said he's going to be on in a little while. So I guess we'll keep this conversation going. But yes, the whole mask thing is ridiculous to me. And again, the hypocrisy of this woman. She's sitting there. I mean, again, you got your 2 masks on. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. If you want to put on 20 masks, 100 masks, that's what you want to do. That's cool. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But in New York City, in a place where you shouldn't be running up on nobody saying nothing. You decided to choose to speak to me when others around you. I mean, again, the woman was sitting right next to her eating China food. Like, wait. And you passed the bus driver when you came in the bus and paid. I'm just saying, when you got on the bus and you paid at the front, you saw the bus driver didn't have no mask on. So you didn't say nothing to him, did you? No, you ain't say nothing to him. But you decided that it was a good idea to say something to me. And that's where you went wrong. Because, bitch, I immediately was like, no, I ain't not going to do that today, honey. Oh, no. Yeah. Not me, not today. But baby, and yet again, the differences in each state is really crazy because shout out to my BFF Valencia Opal. She just came back from Atlanta. Ooh. She just came back from Atlanta because she went to Atlanta to go see to go be at one of the Comic Cons for Stephen Amell.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, and literally she said that the first thing when she got there and she walked into the hotel with her mask on, everybody was looking at her crazy, like, what you doing? Like, we don't do that here. Like that, we don't do that here. And for the whole weekend, she was free, you know what I'm saying, to walk around and not, you know, worry about this fuck shit on the face. You know what I mean? I myself don't never, from the beginning of the whole pandemic situation, I was not with this whole covering face fuck shit. This shit, never mind the fact, for if we really walk down the fucking storyline of this pandemonium, the stories that were being told in the beginning all the way down to now have been contradicting like a motherfucker. Y'all been telling us A and then telling us B, and then all of a sudden dropping C, and then all of a sudden D, E, and F is dropping singles every 2 seconds, and then all of a sudden,
and we're just supposed to follow it.
It's like all of this shit's been going on, and then when you want to talk about, and then if we go as far as to talk about this whole because I can't even remember the countries. Russia, whatever the fuck countries is doing this fuck shit in. They've been talking about all this shit since then. Have they mentioned COVID since then? All of a sudden, we haven't heard nothing about nobody dying, nobody contracting, nobody, no new singles dropping, no new alpha omegas, none of these new things is coming out no more. Nobody's talking about it because now there's a new agenda. Now there's a whole new agenda, and that agenda it needs to be focused on. And at the same time, while we focusing on that agenda, guess what's happening? There's a whole gas situation going on where everybody in the world is making jokes about how much gas is going up. I mean, you even seeing people posting signs from different gas stations where the gas is going up $4, $5, $8. That's the last, matter of fact, that's the last one I saw, that was where the gas was somewhere damn near $7.99 a gallon.
Yeah.
And all of these is to distract. All of this shit is to distract. And even a child, because a smart child can figure out that this shit is all a distraction. It's all an illusion from the
and it's not true. We're not being told the
child
truth.
Can figure that out. So if you as an adult walking around paying bills and going to work, and you don't, and you just believe in all this shit, and you just taking all this shit for really, and you've been alive on this earth for 30, 40 years, and a child can figure that shit out, but you can't. Oh, well. You know what I'm saying? You on mute, honey? Oh, he said 7:30. Fuck.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought the thing said.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, it did say 7:30. Oh my God, I'm a fucking idiot.
No, you're not.
You see that? And I'm sitting here rushing the man, and I'm like, and he's telling me 7:30. I'm like, where did this say 7:30? Oh, fuck.
Hey.
It's the Friday smoke that gets us off. It's the Friday smoke. Oh shit! I got because I literally rushed and was sitting my anxious ass here at 6:30, like, yeah. And then you telling me, nah, but it's 7:30, and I'm just like,
well, that's what I thought.
I'm like, what you talking about? And then you telling me too at 7:30. I'm like, oh, so I'm the fuck up. Oh damn.
It happens. You do a million things right, so you good.
Yeah, I'm saying.
And
I literally sent him an email like, "Ooh, it's that weed right now. It's the weed right now." He was like, "Yeah, it's the Friday weed that always gets us all." Yeah.
Thank God, so gracious and understanding.
Indeed, like let me just excuse her high ass because clearly she over there high.
It's possible.
High, just fucking with the time, Oh man.
Don't worry. Well, I'm just glad that we have this time to be able to do this. It's a treat. For those that are joining us again,
yes.
We have the privilege of speaking to Mr. Lamont from New York City. And he is actually a great businessman, I'm sure, because you got to be one to open 3 dispensaries once y'all get it together in New York. So we're going to be talking to him about his vision, about his process, and we're going to be asking him a billion questions. His dispensaries are called Trap City Green. I'm going to let him talk about more about that, but hey,
yeah,
we
as
all
soon as
about
he
it,
gets
aren't we?
here, I'm gonna let him introduce himself and everything. But yes, Miss Ruby Doll and her luck. You usually, I mean, either way, whether it happens to me or it happens to her, I'm glad it's happening. Where the right people are falling right into our laps without even doing much searching, which just out of, let me just put in a little point, which, when it's difficult to, we're trying to reach out to people and it's difficult to get them on, it's kind of like, what's going on? Because we usually have easy time getting people on. So you should just come on in and not, give us no strife. But anyway, yes. Miss Ruby Doll was so lucky that, working at a great place. She happened to meet, I know she's meeting great people all day, every day, but this particular person she happened to meet, and as they were, I'm assuming, observing and looking around at, possible, possible people they could get with, possible, competition, just, taking the notes and figuring it out. And they happen to meet Miss Ruby, and what do you know? Miss Ruby found out that these people are not only opening 3 new dispensaries in here in New York City, and they obviously wanted to check out and be on the show. So yes, Mr. Lamont from Trap City Greens is going to be here, and we're going to have a whole bunch of questions, because I myself have questions, just because first of all, for us, it's a complete exclusive, because it's not like the stores are open yet. So when they do open, we are literally the people that told you about this. Make sure give us some credit now. Make sure give us some credit. But yes, we are the people that let you on. And then of course we have some industry questions that we would definitely want to know about, because I myself have been trying to find out from the current dispensaries that are open in New York City, like, what's the deal? Like, what's going on? Like, how do you and where do you, like, what are you doing, and what's going on? And yes, here he is here to let us know. So let me let him in the room.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, Motherhood Sex Marijuana in the building, and we welcome you. And see, and him prepared. Him got logo in the background and everything. Yes.
It is a pleasure to see you. So happy to see you again.
Yes, it is so happy to see you again. It's been a very, very, very long but short time.
Indeed. And what a treat it is. We were over here yakking about how excited we are for you and your team and Trap City Green. We love everything that you're about, but we'd rather hear you introduce yourself and tell the world, or tell our platform, why you're so amazing.
I mean, well, off to the races then with it. First, thank you very much for having me on. This definitely was unexpected, having gone into Ganja Goddess and meeting Ruby, which was a pleasure as it was, and then our communication back and forth. But aside from the pleasantries, I'm Lamont Sanders. I'm the CEO and founder of Trap City Green. We're looking to be one of the first social equity retail dispensaries in New York, particularly in New York City. We're hoping to get all 3 locations before we can expand into New Jersey as well as other states. Me, myself, being a part of the cannabis industry for almost 10 years now, doing a lot of market research behind the scenes stuff when it comes to pushing for social equity, as well as pushing for just the opportunity to be able to get into such an elite market. And I use that term specifically just because of how it's been set up recently through so many states. And being able to break that barrier as one of the first in New York City, I'm hoping to be. But other than that, welcome.
Indeed. And we are so happy to have you, just because, like I said, I'm Kai Storm. You've been talking to me a lot, and I'm the high one that kind of fucked this call up a little bit. But we're gonna pretend.
It's a Friday. It's a Friday. No judgments.
I mean, some days I think I do it right, and sometimes I don't do it right. Right. But anyway, but yes, we are excited just for the fact that Ruby was so lucky to meet you and to have, and to, got us to get in conversation with you to get you on the show. So thank you so much for being here. But yes, I definitely want to talk to you, because when I went to your website, I also see that, not only, it's something new in cannabis that's coming to New York City, and dispensaries in general is a new fucking avenue for New York City, period. Because again, I've lived in New York City long enough to buy weed in the basement, okay? Buy weed in the corner, you feel me? I know.
I'm not that far behind you.
I'm just saying. So to hear the word dispensary and New York City in the same sentence is like mind blowing.
Yeah.
In a sense. So and then going to your website, I saw that you also were talking about, it being like the first LGBTQ
Black-owned
dispensary.
LGBTQ.
So I definitely want to hear about that.
So interestingly enough, I was able to find this out just by doing some research and looking around the country. There are definitely LGBTQ owners, Black LGBTQ owners, people of color, particularly in the CBD realm, but we weren't really able to find any that were specifically like a Black or person of color LGBTQ owned. So me and the other owners, we are all LGBTQ members. That's the first thing. We are majority people of color, 3 out of 5 of us. So we definitely pushed on that, and any of the other owners will be able to tell you, me being the CEO, that was one of the main stakes that I put down when pulling this team together, was being able to showcase that this isn't just going to be a dominated industry that is for MSOs and wealthy people who've got the money to just jump right in and, turn it on as a commodity. This is particularly with the war on drugs that's taken place that it has over the decades. This is something that I personally, to my heart, feel is something that should be dominated by people of color.
Exactly. Lamont, I'm so freaking happy that you said that. We're in partnership with this program called the OR Project, where we're raising funds to provide expunge records for those people of color actually that have marijuana charges. And so these organizations, and so I heard through the grapevine, and I'd love for you to talk about this, because I know that you have a lot of involvement with regards to the political powers that be, and really being a voice for our people. And so my question to you is, what do you know about this rumor in which people that have had previous marijuana charges are getting first dibs at these dispensaries, or that these permits?
So in New York, I can speak for New York definitely, and I can say that in New York, that is the first group of people that the state is looking to legalize. The state, we have an amazing cannabis control board with the executive director. Both the executive director and the chair, they made it a point, particularly in the last meeting, that they had to once again reiterate that they wanted the first licenses to go to particularly people who were either formerly incarcerated for marijuana charges or people whose family members, immediate family members, such as a spouse, a father, a mother, a child, were affected by this. And for us, particularly in New York, as we all know, it was targeted. So we understand the demographic that this affects, you know, but for me, the only caveat to that is particularly in New York, what they've said is if they've tacked on this little piece where it is you have to have experience owning and or operating a business. So when you take that into account and you factor in social equity and you say, majority of these people who've been incarcerated or their family members have been incarcerated, that effect just through the criminal justice system has had long-lasting effects on them. It's had long-lasting effects on their life, whether it be these people who've been incarcerated for it weren't able to get funding for college, they can't get financial aid, and so many other barriers that then follow that to then say, well, we're hoping that one of you or some of you or most of you have experience operating or owning a business. You're kind of in a way circumventing the exact group of people you're trying to target. And with that circumventing, you now open the door to the one specific area that you were trying to avoid, which is now you're opening it up to everyone who can say, well, my brother was incarcerated for this, or my brother was arrested for this, and we are still a multi-million-dollar family. Or I just branched off from a particular MSO and, you know, my dad was arrested for this, or my mom got arrested for this, and now I'm in New York. So the way that this is kind of rolling out now, it seems like it's going to start to get very, very, very intricate as to how they pull the applications. Just my personal preference and recommendation for it, I think they should just release the application, have people apply, you do a check down, drop down box, and you go through that process as to, you know, the more boxes you can check off, the higher the priority will be. Because for instance, you know, you have women that are particularly on this list that I don't feel will actually be included in this particular first group. And that's a big focus because you have women, distressed farmers. So again, even though it's a great start, this particular route that they're trying to go or they're attempting to go down, they may end up finding a lot of roadblocks that come with it where you're not going to find enough people to fill that pool. And you have a 50% marker of 50% of these licenses you want to be for social equity, specifically for social equity. And the state has now allocated $200 million through public and private funding to get these retailers up and going.
And see, that's what I was thinking too when you were saying it. I was just like, okay, you have to have some sort of own a business experience. If I go back in my memory to the drug dealers that I bought weed from in the past, they weren't business owners. They made sure to be paper free. Okay.
Exactly.
The apartment they lived in was in somebody's name, somebody that they, you know what I mean? They sold on the street. Like, come on, you know what I'm saying? The car they drove, girlfriend bought it. I mean, come on. Let's be real. Like you automatically, it sounds like you automatically trying to still exit, you know, not help you helping, but you're not helping. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, see, it would be one thing if they said you were formerly incarcerated or your family member was formerly incarcerated and you're coming to us with a business plan. You have a solid business plan that demonstrates you've got the first 4 years, because keep in mind, these particular licenses, the owners have to have majority operating accountability. It's not just, you know, you're just the head of the table. You've got to have the operating skills to keep this going. And that's got to be for the first 4 years. So it's not like in year 3, someone can come in and say, let me help you, or, you know, maybe let me buy your license, because you've still got to have accountability for that. For instance, for me, I'm 60% ownership. So I'm across the board, you know, ready to go. But the fellow owners with me also understand that there's a duty that specifically falls on me particularly to get this license and having to know the operation. So
Because
it can't just be me sitting at the top.
Right.
Right.
You
So to speak, I'm not the token. So yeah, and that's how they set that up, which again was great to do, but saying, come to us with a business plan, have a financial model that matches that. So it shows the duration of the first 5 years of your business, because when you think about it, any other small business, that's what you'd have to do if you were going to apply for lending. They want to see a business plan. They want to know that whatever money they're putting in, when they charge that finance charge, that APR, that lending a percentage, they're going to get that back.
Exactly.
With a serious plan versus you know, you just want to go at it because you sold a bag of weed or two. Right. And just to piggyback off that real quickly, also again, bear in mind, this is only for the first 4 years. This market has shown, cannabis has shown to be a market that within the first 4 years, maturity starts to kick in particular states. So you're looking at the transition from more people buying flower into more people buying edibles, more people buying topicals and things along those lines. And when you're talking about the traditional quote unquote drug dealer, as they would have it in New York City, these aren't really areas that they would really truly be proficient in. And understanding after year 4, when the market starts to hit maturity, now MSOs can come in like they've done in Colorado, they've done in California, Oregon, Washington, and they've said, well, you don't seem to have this under control, or you're rather, this is getting away from you. Let us buy into this. Let us get some sort of control and ownership here, and we'll help you out. And then you end up with huge MSOs like Cresco Labs and the $2 billion acquisition of Columbia Care. These are big names, and this is literally one MSO buying another MSO, and this is moving them into the New York market because Columbia Care is a New York medicinal dispensary chain.
Wow.
Yeah. So understanding the intricacies of it is going to be very important, particularly for people of color, or else you're going to have an industry that's betting already on you not to make it to the top. And we've seen that happen. Yeah.
Lamont, how much are we talking about when it comes to these permits?
Licenses in New York, they've quoted them at $2,000 right now. These are social equity licenses. But again, these is, under my understanding, these are just licenses that apply to the retail tier. And in New York, they've separated to where you have a cultivation nursery tier, processing distribution tier, a retail tier, which includes delivery and on-site consumption. Then you have your vertical integration. So all of these different tiers, and then another piece to that, just really quickly, you can't cross licenses. So if I'm a retailer, I can't be a cultivator unless I'm vertically integrated. So for now, retail licenses are $2,000. Yeah.
Okay.
The license. I'm sorry, Ruby.
By all means,
because all of us are just going to be jumping on you because we're really excited about this interview. But no, now I've noticed, because the 2 dispensaries that I've discovered here, right? I've noticed that they literally only have 6 strains. And in my head, that's telling me that because you only have 6 because New York is telling you can't have no more than 6. Now, is that the case, or what's going on with that?
So,
have any idea about that?
First, let me just say that retail dispensing of cannabis in the state of New York is not officially legal yet through licensing, but yeah, that's right. No one has a license yet. So I would hope no one is vending, because the state is looking for that. They are looking to see who may be vending without a license at this time. And that would be considered acting out of good faith and moral character.
Ooh.
Yes. So those watching, please pay attention and understand that. But outside of that, the state particularly right now is Governor Hochul. She set up a seed to sale initiative, particularly for the social equity market, to ensure that the state would be able to have enough cannabis to handle that. well, from what I read, I do believe that growers can grow up to 1,000 pounds a year, which is pretty much considering New York State, I believe, has over 700 to 750 CBD hemp growers. And many of them have intentions on transitioning over to getting those preemptive licenses to be able to start growing adult use recreational marijuana. Oh. Now, if they can stagger the licensing well, then you'll end up with more than enough cannabis for everybody, including being able to be processed into edibles and topicals and beverages and all those sorts. But if you flood it, like for instance, what New Jersey just stopped their licensing process because they said, we want to take a step back. We want to ensure that our medicinal customers and patients have enough cannabis. Because once the adult market opens, we know if Jersey's open, you're going to have people coming from New Jersey and Connecticut. If New York's open without New Jersey and Connecticut being open, everybody's going to flood in. So whichever state opens first.
Keep it real. The pandemonium has made everything a law. There's no law. There's no law. There's an appearance of law, but there's no law.
That's right. That's right. Now, in particular with businesses, again, this is just a personal recommendation. I wouldn't recommend new retailers having probably more than 10 strains on hand and rotating a menu, just simply because the cultivators themselves, this is going to be new to them. And if you look at and you reference any other state that's been legal for at least 2 years, 2 to 3 years, you'll see there's always this huge spike in the beginning, and then it's like everybody runs out of stock. And then it levels itself out, you know. Yeah, it rises and then it drops, and then everybody's like, we got to find more, you know. So if the state can work out a process to roll that out the right way, which obviously they're working on doing, they've got the changeover for licenses now, so growers will be able to start that application process, I think in May, I believe, and that'll get seeds sown in the ground. So by the time you have your outdoor harvest by the fall, which New York, it tends to be open by the fall, you should have more than enough cannabis for everybody. And strains wise, retailers should definitely not be able to restrict themselves to a certain number of strains. I haven't seen any literature in the law that says any retailer in New York would have to be restricted to a certain number of strains. That's like telling Target they can only sell irons.
Right. I'm not going to lie, because literally I used to live in Seattle. That's how me and Ruby met, because I lived in Seattle for 7 years.
Shout out to Seattle. Gotta love the city.
Yeah, and now I'm back in New York. But so literally living there, I got spoiled, you know, going into any and every store and seeing, you know, any and everything I wanted. Like, yeah, I want this, that, you know what I mean? It was, you know, so coming back home, I knew for a fact, okay, I would have to come back to, you know, trying to find my people, trying to find, you know,
you want to match that quality.
And that's how it was working. And honestly, because I've been back for about a year, and at the beginning, that's how it was working. But then next thing you know, you start bumping into stores, and even the smoke shops out here, smoke shops out here.
Yeah.
So
everybody wants a piece. Everybody wants a piece. New York is going to be, I'm not saying this just to tout New York's horn, but New York is going to be the second highest producing and profiting tax revenue wise state in the nation. California is only going to beat New York because of population and economy. That is going to be the only reason why. And even then, because of their taxing setup, that may eventually have them either run neck and neck with New York, if not New York at times surpassing them. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how it rolls out.
Very interesting. Like I said, it's a whole new world for a person, you know what I mean? For a person that, like I said, bought weed from the man on the corner in the basement, where his, you know, or his apartment where the door was broken down because TNT done broke his door down. And yes, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna let Ruby in because Ruby ready to talk to, to ask questions too.
My mind is going everywhere right now. And let's say that I had let's say that I had a couple of dollars to put to the side, and let's say I wanted to have my own delivery service with Trap City Green. I would have to find out what permit I would need as a delivery service, and then I could contract myself with Trap City Green or my company to do all your deliveries for you. So let's talk about how we can educate, because I love this conversation, because number one, we should be having these high level conversations in which we are elevating our stance, elevating not only our pocketbooks, but our communities, and actually literally changing the laws on these motherfuckers. Because it's been some way for so long, yes, it's a whole new world. I want a slice of that. So let's say I was coming at you. Have you guys considered working with the delivery, since you can't offer that service?
Okay, so here's the thing about that. Retailers can offer delivery. However, we have to do the deliveries ourselves.
Okay, that's
right. So if we're doing delivery, it's going to be strictly on us. We won't be able to then contract you. Now, if we don't offer delivery, then we could be able to contract you as you being a delivery service to be able to handle those deliveries. From a business standpoint, we looked at both angles. This is just, I'm speaking specifically for Trap City Green. We looked at both sides of that, and we definitely will be offering delivery personally to our customers. We'll be doing that as a part of a special program and membership that we'll be having as a subscription for our customers. If you check out our website, you'll be able to see we'll have a whole concierge experience, which is going to include a separate menu. We'll have a walk-in menu, and then we'll have a concierge menu. That menu is going to come with a whole bunch of perks and all different things. And the top tier, you'd be able to get delivery. Now, for people who want to get delivery licenses, that's a easy access, minimal barrier license that New York has set up. That could be anything from being able to have something like a Sprinter van, which I would probably recommend, to just being able to have, if you have to use your day-to-day car, make sure you set up the business correctly, but that's a very easy to access license for anyone in New York State who wants to at least just get into the industry and try to, see where they fit in.
That's dope. I love these gems that you're giving us, and thank you for being so generous. For consultation for somebody, and what do you charge if you do?
Well, I'd love to be able to offer that, but since I'm opening a business now, again, the way the law is written, I can't consult. I wouldn't be able to I can't have an interest in another license once you start getting into that process. New York, which again is interesting because you have a lot of people who, particularly like myself, you want to eventually get into growing, you want to get into processing, you want to have the full scope, and New York really set it up to where you're going to get in where we can allow you to fit in, and that's where you're going to stay. At the most, you can get 3 licenses, but after that, your next step is just transferring to vertical integration, which obviously, that's kind of what everybody hopes for in the end, because then, it's your product, 100% your product, your brand, and so forth and so on,
That's what's up.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's a moving train.
New York would be the difficult ones that make you say, oh, no, you can't just do everything. No, you can't just do what you want. No. You're gonna do what we say. And yes, at every step, we're gonna charge a nice fee that will go to the city. Yes, the fee. You gonna pay the fee? You got a credit card? That's how New York is. I get it. So do we have like an opening day, like a grand opening day? And if so, what are we doing for this grand opening?
Okay, so I mean, I don't want to get into details too early. It's still early in the season. The seeds aren't even in the ground yet, but we're going to get there. But what I can say is that we are hoping to be open by the end of this year when retailers are allowed to start. That's where we're at right now. We'll be spending the summer meeting with cultivators and processors across New York State. And hopefully, fingers crossed, by that point, you'll have the SAFE Act passed and signed by the president. You'll have the MORE Act passed and signed by the president. And that will hopefully then open up the national market to where you don't have to simply rely on what's grown in New York. Now, we can anticipate in the beginning, New York is going to be still restrictive and say, well, for the first few years, we want to get New York processed. We want to get New York at one of the top spots. You know, if it's not the top, we want to be in the top 3. And then we may open up, but we'll see what Senator Schumer has in store for us, because at this point, we've got it moving. We know that there's a bill and a suggestion going to the United Nations right now to have, you know, globally have nations around the world decriminalize marijuana and deschedule marijuana, which is the bigger part of it. People hear decriminalization and they think, okay, well, now it's legal. You need the descheduling. You need it to go from a Schedule 1, which it's been since, I believe, 1961, I believe.
Yeah.
You want it to drop down, because even with it being a Schedule 1, you can't even get proper medical research done. You know, there's a lot of different pieces to this where once we get that passed, both of those bills passed, you'll be looking at more enterprising that'll be available, because you'll have more funding, more lending available. Banks won't be scared to, you know, engage in business with retail dispensaries or cultivators and processors, because we know the banking system wants to get in. You've got MSOs, you've got hedge funds, you've got publicly traded companies.
They see it's a growing business. They want to make money too. Who's scared of making money? Who?
Exactly.
Nobody. You know what I mean? So they want to get in, but at the same time, they're wary, because even, you know, even in Seattle, like there are very few you know, dispensaries that have, you know, the ability where you can swipe your credit card. You know what I mean? You got, most of them, it's a cash business only. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it definitely is a high cash value business. And even like, particularly for me, my favorite is being in Colorado, being in Denver. Shout out to Denver, everybody who knows me out there. But even out there, it's been a struggle to try to get over to like mobile and debit pay, because again, the banking system, like people don't realize, even if your bank, you know, is willing to approve the transactions and work with you, Visa or MasterCard has the power to then say, no, we're not going to do it. You know, and the same way how the government can come in at any time, even now to this day, the DEA still has authority to be able to go into dispensaries and shut them down.
Regulate.
Exactly. Thankfully, they don't anymore, at least for the most part, except in California, where they're still having these issues. You know, but for the, there's still issues, particularly because California's black market is kind of, they're juggling the black market versus the legal market. And that's just because of the tax, but we could talk about that later.
The whole other conversation.
That's a whole nother one, but juggling those, it's difficult. It's going to be difficult. Like I said, juggling those is going to be difficult, particularly even in California, because of how it's set up. So.
But we do know that the black market exists based on the fact that, you know, there are states that are charging ridiculous prices. I mean, the ridiculous taxes on this weed, on weed. Right. Like, I mean, me and Ruby have talked about it on our show, how like places like Chicago, I see people paying $70, $80 in taxes on weed. Who paying $70, $80 on taxes? For what? No, I'm gonna buy from my dude in the corner that's not gonna charge me taxes. He might go to jail. I might go to jail, but we smoking and we high.
It's completely tax-free for everybody. So, So that's a whole different set of weeds there, you know. But hopefully a lot of these states will realize, because even now with the federal government saying, you know, with their process going on, they'd be looking at a part of Biden's bill, they'd be looking at doing a 25% federal tax. So if you just do some quick numbers, New York is going to be at 13%. The state's taking 9%, localities can increase it up to 13%. Now now keep in mind, this is just retail. You tack on 25% to that. In states like Colorado, California, Illinois, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, you're going to be looking at people who are they're literally going to be like she said, like Kai said, I'm going right back to my guy at the corner because I don't have to pay taxes. He's not paying taxes. It's going to get crazy. But I feel like at some point there'll be a leveling off. Like states, particularly states with higher taxes, will understand like you're gonna have to level it off, because if you don't, then eventually you're gonna degrade your market, and you don't want to do that. Cannabis is a commodity that is gonna continue to grow, you know, year over year globally. Even on a national level, you've been looking at 30% year over year, 30% for particularly an industry that was illegal, you could say a decade ago, to now where we're at, to say 30% year over year. That's a high turnover. That's a lot of profit. That's a lot of tax dollars. That's a lot of community services, you know, so.
Built a lot of wealth built in that process. And we want some of that too.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. Lamont, I was going to ask, like, why
Sure.
cannabis and why do you give a shit so much?
So for me, this is going to be interesting and ironic. I come from a law enforcement family background. You know, there wasn't really much alcohol, definitely no drugs. You know, my grandfather was considered to be like the canine of the family. He could smell out anything if anybody had it. So being one of the middle range cousins, I got to see the older cousins and what they went through and things. So very much by the book. But then I would say with about 10 years ago, I started having friends, particularly I'm only 37, and I started having friends my age at the time. So you're talking 26, 27, 28, who started having different forms of cancer, everything from brain cancer to breast cancer to pancreatic cancer to stomach cancer. And realizing at this time, like, the only medications are really going to be medications and treatments that are going to, for the most part, help them survive. It's not really, you know, radiation and chemo and all these other drugs. Like, they're very strong, powerful drugs. So to see people in their 20s, early 30s, you know, really have to go through these struggles, I started realizing, you know, there has to be another way. And obviously, you know, you look up things and you look for the holistic ways of doing things, and you got all these different doctors online and stuff. But it was actually a doctor from New York that I knew who said, you know, Colorado's got a really good medicinal market, particularly for children dealing with epilepsy and seizures and things. And I went out there, looked into it, did market research, and realized, like, this is far more than just what we've all been led to believe over decades. It's not just, you know, it's not going to make you go crazy like they do in the old commercials and stuff, you know, have you dancing around with the, you know, make you go crazy. That's how they did it. And it made no sense when you think about it now. It made no sense. It made absolutely no sense, because now we see through all these different states like Arizona, Nevada, California, Massachusetts, a lot of these, Florida, even these medicinal markets now have proven that cannabis in your endocannabinoid system, it's useful, it's necessary. Mammals have an endocannabinoid system for a reason. And as much as we tried not to tap into it and kept telling people don't use it, everyday people now are realizing, I can wake up and I can have a sativa edible and go to work and be completely fine, function 100%. People who are insomniacs can go to bed with a small joint before they go to bed and know that what I'm consuming is literally going to help. The side effects aren't going to be as harsh. They're not going to weigh me down. I'm not going to be excessively lethargic and confused or feel like, you know, I just don't want to do anything. So that's what really got me into it. And then I realized, like, this is going to be a transitioning business, because once I got into the market and I started reading about it and doing my research, I realized it was a ticking clock. It was only a matter of time before you ended up with federal legalization. Knowing that the government has 8 patents on cannabis and cannabis derivatives, that tells you something.
Absolutely. And why the stock in cannabis keeps going up.
That's right.
And then also, guys, I met some customers the other day that were asking me about shrooms and where they could purchase some, and they blew my mind, because I did not know that in Vancouver, Washington, you could go into something just like a dispensary and get yourself some shrooms that you can microdose with. So when it comes to like all this shit, it's like, how long is it going to be until we have the opportunity to dive into that market? I know
that's right around the corner. That's right around the corner. Like, you know, particularly with the mushroom market, because again, you're seeing different treatments that, if properly dosed and in the right environment, even things like LSD can have very, very, very healthy effects on people versus it having, you know, the adverse effects that most people are used to identifying. You know, it's all really about just truly understanding the human body, understanding yourself, understanding like what's really going to work for you. And even though we have all of these different substances and things that have been completely denigrated and put into these boxes of just being bad and, you know, you shouldn't do them, you shouldn't approach them, it's never anything that you want to be around. Again, as the decades have happened, we've learned like these are things that even though, you know, we used to make jokes about people who said, oh, no, it helped me. It made me feel better. It's like, oh, no, you're just high. You're still tripping. You know, we realize now, like it does. It has very, very, very lasting effects and good health benefits, particularly with things like psilocybin and cannabis. So, yeah, we're looking to hopefully also move that market along and be able to transition that into a legal market as well. You know, you want to be able to compete with alcohol and nicotine, right? I mean, come on.
Thank you.
Alcohol and nicotine is just automatically given a pass, but as soon as you pull out a joint, you wrong.
Of course, that's the war on drugs.
Yeah.
100%.
Wow, what a blessed opportunity this is. And I hope everyone is paying attention to these gems that Lamont has given us. How does somebody get in touch with you and your organization if let's say they just wanted to sign you over a check? What would they have to do?
Or they want to actually work at the store when the store opens, something like that too.
Well, for both of those answers, for both those questions, the answer is going to be the same. And that is they can go to our website and they can email us through our info@trapcitygreen.com. That comes directly to me. I have a personal hand in ensuring that we will have a all-inclusive work environment. That is a very strong point that I plan on sticking to and having people understand that as a social equity brand, as it says on my website, you know, social equity is going to start with New York, but it's not true social equity until we have competition that looks like us. And in order to do that, we have to get rid of all of the barriers, all of the stigmas, and we have to say if we're employing people, we need to be all inclusive. Same thing when it comes to, you know, different strains and different brands. It can't just be about being able to make that dollar. I want to be able to employ people that if they leave my establishment, they're ready to go and do the next thing. Become my competition. That's what I want.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Of course, recording in progress. What are you talking about? Oh my goodness. You're talking crazy. Of course, recording is in progress. Yes. Hey, when I tell you this is going to be a good episode, and when it drop, it's going to drop, my goodness, because whoa, he got information, okay? He got information. He got information. Like this is the important one right here. Here he comes. Okay, let's get back into business. Yes. Gotta drop my jokes. You know how I do.
I love it.
Indeed. Yes, and we're back. Motherhood Sex Man 1 in the building.
Motherhood Sex Man 1 in the building. Thank you and welcome back, Lamont.
Yes, Mr. Lamont Sanders of Trap City Greens. He is here dropping many, many importante jewels in here, okay? They are important, very important informations in this realm. Because first of all, half of what you said, I ain't even know. Never mind, the fact that, you know what I mean? Because I was, you know what I mean? Like our goal was just basically, you know, obviously to talk about the business, talk about when it's coming in and what you're doing to, you know, to you know, get it to where it's in fruition. But you have dropped like jewels that were just like we didn't even know existed. So thank you for that. But my next question for you is definitely yes. What's the next step for Trap City? Like I'm not asking you to, you know, give us details, but exactly what are you doing in order to get to the end where the store is open and you got people in there and weed is being sold and everything is good?
So for us right now, it's location acquisition. As I had previously said, you know, we want to have all 3 licenses. We definitely want to work that over the course of 3 years. We're looking Harlem, Washington Heights area, again, social equity neighborhoods that we know when we employ people from those neighborhoods, that money is going back into those neighborhoods. Our 5% of profits goes back into our community. That's a part of our business plan and our business model. So for us, that's going to be our next steps, continuing to get location acquisition. And by the summer, like I said, we'll be running around the state, acquiring different strains, working with different brands, cultivators and processors to have our doors open by the fall. We'll be actually at the next CWCB Expo, which is coming this June. We were there in me and my business partner, Rob, were there in the previous one they had in New York. And it was definitely good. It was an experience. It was, for us, it was somewhat of a little bit of a reconnaissance. We wanted to see, you know, who in New York was already kind of ready to go. And as far as retailers go, you know, we were taken aback because we realized there were no retailers on Showcase. There wasn't anybody there. You had processors, you had infrastructure, a lot of infrastructure companies, a lot of financial companies, data research companies there. So it's going to be interesting to see how it'll look come June. Now that we have the licenses ready to go, we have people getting the funding, it's definitely going to be interesting to go back in June, which we will be, so you'll be able to see us there as well. But for the most part, brand recognition, getting our brand out there, letting people know we're going to be one. We want you to be a part of this. We want everybody to be a part of this.
You know, when it was here in December, because that was in December when the CW Expo was here in December, right. I don't even think. I mean, I mean, because even at that time, I was still, you know what I mean, I was still buying for my peoples, you know what I mean? So I don't think there was any kind of dispensary per se that, so I can understand why no dispensary will be there. Now I don't know about what's going to happen in June, but we plan. I'm definitely planning to be there. Me and my husband are going to be at the yacht party. And
okay.
And,
we will see
yeah, because they're
other.
having a yacht party. That's
right. We will see each other.
I'm gonna do a yacht party, and I'm definitely buying a ticket for to do the Saturday run at Jacob Javits and whatnot, just to see what it is. And hopefully there'll be dispensaries, you know, because like I said, there are 2, from what I know, because I've been there. There are 2 open places that are open every day, and they sell 6 strains, and I've been in there, and I'm assuming they might want to be there. You know, I don't know. And like I said, hypothetically, the true. Hey, New York City is a place where we get it in no matter what. We don't need no license. We shoo. It is what it is. Because me and Ruby done bought weed from a dude on the corner on 42nd Street down the block from fucking Red Lobster. Okay, dude had a table. Dude still got the table. Cause I tell you, Ruby, I done walked past the dude, the same dude that you bought weed from that day. I done walked past him. Him and his people still got tables out there. Okay, my thing is this: when you just said that ain't no license and nobody ain't supposed to be selling, I'm like, work. That's not what the people in the street said. That's not what. That's not what I saw. That's not what I bought from. We got evidence. If you watched a couple of our episodes, I'm just because it ain't even allegedly, because it's on tape. But so I'm just saying.
Yeah, like, and again, as I said,
for 420. What are we doing for 420?
Okay, so for 420, I'll actually be in Colorado. On-site consumption, the first social equity on-site consumption license was awarded to Tetra Lounge out there. Tetra Lounge was originally open and they had to close because of the state guidelines and licensing issues. They just got their license back. They're going to be reopening and they're having an amazing event that'll be happening on 420. So I'll be out there celebrating with them for 420.
Is that a restaurant?
And if you haven't been, just as a recommendation, if you haven't been to the cannabis market in Colorado, go. It is amazing. Colorado has developed some of the best strains and some of the best dispensaries that I have ever been to. The quality is amazing. And the people are amazing too. But aside from that, yeah, I'll be at Tetra Lounge. I'll be celebrating their 420.
But wait, Tetra Lounge, is that a restaurant?
No, it's an on-site consumption location. So the same way how New York, yeah. So it's basically like it's a smoke lounge.
Okay,
you bring
I got
your
you.
own.
I got
yeah,
you.
you bring your own, and yeah, and they'll be like, you know, everything from musical guests to, you know, different types of entertainment and all that. So yeah.
Oh wow, wow, oh my God. That sounds awesome. I definitely never got to Colorado while I was on the West Coast. As a matter of fact, I didn't really do too much traveling while I was on the West Coast. But yeah, I thank you for that recommendation, though. But yes, we are definitely. I don't even know what happened to Ruby, but I'm pretty sure she'll be back though. But we are just excited just to have this conversation with you. So all right. So am I tripping, or do you also have a clothing line that goes with your because I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wait, there's a clothing line that followed me, and it seems like it has to be yours. I don't want to just say it is yours, but if it is, it just makes sense for you to talk about it and make sure, you know, send us the links and whatnot so we can include it in the episode when this episode drop. I'm just saying.
But of course, yes, Te Veo NYC, that is a boutique apparel line that I have that started with boutique sneakers that we still make. Those are handmade by a cobbling company and family in Ancona, Italy. And I've been doing that since about 2016. It's definitely been a roller coaster ride because fashion is different than cannabis. Yes. You know, fashion is far more, you know,
definitely
staying on trend, everything from colors to locations and things. So, and then when COVID hit, obviously, you know, that slowed things down, but we are still open. If you want a pair of sneakers, by all means, we have our Python belly snake skin sneakers available.
Damn, what? Python belly? Whoa.
Yes, Python belly.
Are those for just men or women?
Men and women. Men and women. Oh yes, men and women.
Okay, well,
definitely
drop the link, because definitely name drop the link, because we definitely want to make sure that it gets mentioned in the description, and plus, you know, we gonna support it, you know what I mean? So yes, tell us all about it.
Te Veo NYC. It actually started, so interesting story. It started from 3D printing and animation, because that's also a skill that I have. Okay. And I started originally 3D printing sunglasses. And the sunglasses, we started printing those. We had 18 karat gold logos, and that then expanded into sneakers. And once I saw the sneaker market, and I said, you know, boutique sneakers have now become like, it's their own trend. It's not like where it used to be, where you just had Nyc'S and Pumas and Adidas. And obviously, you know, you have Yeezys, and I'm not looking to compete with him right now.
I don't even know why people buying them things. Them things ugly. I'm just saying. No, because if it's not even that, whether it's not even the price. It's like if it's cute, I'm gonna buy it. But if it's ugly, I'm not just gonna buy it just because it says Yeezy. Like, no, I don't like ugly shit. Sorry.
Right. And to piggyback off of that, a big part of it for me was understanding and having people, even if I'm just that solo example, of people understanding it's that much more important to wear your own name.
Indeed.
Building your own brand, you can be anybody and you can be doing anything. Like you're doing a podcast right now. Building your own brand, having your stamp, building a legacy for your family, for your children. That is something that, particularly in our culture, in our generations, has been piece by piece taken away and stripped. you know,
Exactly.
and that's something me, again, personally, I want to help build back to. I want to be able to build back to where people of color are literally, names mean something. When you meet Ruby and you know, you hear that name, it's like, oh, I know who that is. I know that family name. I know that brand. I know what she's doing. She's a go-getter. She's making things happen. And you don't really have that, even in the sneaker world. In the fashion world, you don't have that. You have big names. And it is unfortunate, even with the passing of Virgil and his wonderful work at Louis Vuitton and all those other amazing brands that he did, I still see it as, this was a man's art, but that art was still covered in someone else's name.
Exactly. You know, someone else is still benefiting,
right?
Even though his name is mentioned, it's still his name is mentioned in the small writing, like the bottom of the contract. You know what I mean?
Right. And he did amazing things for those brands. Wonderful design, an amazing creator. And I'm not saying he was creative. He was an amazing creator for the fashion industry. But I can tell you right now, from this point on, if you're not in the fashion industry or don't really know much about the fashion industry, his name is going to become a whisper.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that's the unfortunate part of it.
And
that's the unfortunate part of it. We have to learn how to truly start empowering ourselves by taking ownership in our names and stop looking for what everyone else is saying we should have on us. You know, those labels, you know, when you look at them as almost like shackles and chains, you realize you're still wearing a name. You're literally still wearing a name.
See, and see, the thing is, you know, I think it is funny though, because people will gladly, you know, go into a store, you know, with the brand name, the couture name, and pay whatever price the store is quoting for the bag, the shoe, the shirt, the pants, whatever. But when it comes to, you know, our own business, you know, you'll have people coming in your own business and want to tell you the price, or want to, you know, and it's like, you know, that's I gotta say that sometimes is the discouraging part, that you know, as you're starting a small business, that's the discouraging part, because I set a price. You when you went in Louis Vuitton and you paid $1,200 for those shoes, did you ask Louis to give you a freaking discount? No. So why the fuck you coming to me asking me for no, my shit, that's the price of the price. The price is the price.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, and you're 100% right on that. And honestly, it is unfortunate. I talk about this a lot with a lot of different people when it comes to just, again, empowering our own people. And that's unfortunately, like, that's generationally almost ingrained. And that comes with that mindset of having to, in order for me to see myself as better, it's necessary to break others down. And that, you know, once that was handed to people of color as a way to get by, or a way to seem like, you know, you were going to climb up that ladder, because we see it when, you know, other cultures, particularly in America, we can touch on this in this conversation. In America, other cultures come into America, you know, you see that, you hear that. They come from other countries and they say, well, I'm here for the American dream. In my country, you know, America is seen as like, that's where we want to be. That's where anything can happen for us. Anything will happen for us. It's the land of opportunities. And then you speak to them 5 years later and they're like, this didn't kind of go the way that I thought. It, you know, it didn't kind of, you know, and that comes with that generational ingraining. And then people, you know, will start to say, well, you know, I see people who look like me, and it just doesn't seem like they support me. And that's just, you know, that's where we are. There's a lot of breaking down of walls that needs to happen on a cultural level, on a race level, on a gender level. You know, so many different barriers that were put in place specifically to kind of guide, almost, I would say, railroad, because they put you on the tracks and you just follow the tracks, but a railroad of, you know, this is how we want society to see you. So this is how we're going to set it up, and you're just going to ride the rails. you know, and that brings us right back to the war on drugs. You know, you had people of color who literally just rode the rails, you know, young men who were being locked away for 20 years, 15, 20 years in some states for just having a joint on them. You were riding those rails. That was it. They set it up. They nailed those nails down and set those rails on a track and put you on there and just said, there you go. You'll stop wherever you stop.
Yeah, and now that the cannabis is now being more welcome, there's a new rail. You know what I mean? There's definitely a new rail, because based on how you broke it down, of how every step of, you know, especially, you know, how New York is trying to do it. It's just like, you know what I mean? It's every state has their own plan on how much they want, how much money they want to make out of it. You know what I mean? Yep. So this is and just the way you broke it down was just crazy though. But let's while we wait for Ruby, and I don't know, maybe she's having some internet problems, but let's lighten the conversation a little bit. So, because when she told me that you and her met, she said that you walked in with someone, and I think she said she said that she thought it was your wife and whatnot. So let's get into a little bit of your personal business. Like, are we married? Are we in a relationship? Do we have children that we gotta smack around every now and then? What we doing? What we doing in our personal life?
Well, as you can see from the rosy cheeks, you caught me by surprise. But for now, I am single, very much dedicated to my business and getting things done, you know. But the person that Ruby, so just so she doesn't go unspoken, was one of my best friends, known her for years. I'm talking high school days, you know, for years. And she's a mom. She's a mom of a special needs child. Her son is autistic. So, you know, she's have to be very hands-on, you know, very alert, very much there. But, you know, she's a childhood friend. And, you know, now being a person who consumes cannabis, when she was, I wasn't. You know, so now that I am, she isn't, because, you know, taking care of her family and stuff. So that was actually her first experience going into, you know, a legal dispensary in the state of Washington. We went there, for the record, we went there because, shout out to Ganja Goddess, shout out to Ruby again. I went there and I said, just as a businessman, I said, this place is named Ganja Goddess. Let me go and see if it has a female touch. Let me go and see if this place is, if it gives that vibe. And it did. Now, I don't know if the owners are, you know, female or not, but
matter of fact, Ruby did say that they are, that the store is actually California based, and they are female owners. There you go. I know, yes.
There you go. So so then going there with that, and going there with my best friend, you know, it was very much, it turned out to be a perfect experience. It was a great experience for her. She got to see, and even myself, with all the research that I've done, wasn't aware that Washington has a dosage restriction to 100 milligrams. Whereas most states have 500 to 1,000. Yeah, generally most states have 500 to 1,000 milligram dosage restriction. So you're talking, you know, your usual high if you have an edible, you know, depending on your tolerance. But Washington, almost to an effect, has a micro dosing market where, you know, again, for a parent like she was able to have an edible. And this is after speaking with Ruby and Ruby's consultation. Great work, Ruby. She was able to have an edible, you know, after putting the kids to sleep, just to unwind, just to be able to, you know, kind of, it was almost a glass of wine after work effect. Nice. And now she's regulated herself, and she's like, you know, it's not what I thought it was going to be. It's not, you know, I didn't think I was going to be, you know, able to function. And that's the biggest part of it. People who are cannabis consumers, you follow that stigma of, you know, they're lazy, they're just going to get the munchies and they're going to go to sleep. You've got almost 70% of America admitting to consuming cannabis. How do we have the GDP we have if everybody's lazy, if everybody's getting the munchies? And you know what I mean? Like, it's perfectly possible to function. And that's how that experience happened, having her This is now years in the making of having her finally, you know, say, this is where I want to go. So to answer your question, that was my best friend. And the second question, I'm single with no kids.
Okay, all right. Well, you know,
Yeah.
well, shoot, you know, hey, in New York and how things are opening up nowadays without these restrictions of, you know, vaccine to be, you know, show vaccine card here, show vaccine card there. Because that's really what, honestly, that's the reason why I didn't go to the first CW Expo in, you know what I mean? I ain't go there because I wasn't vaccinated at the time. I'm vaccinated now because I lost a job and I kept trying to find a job and everybody kept saying, you got to get this shot. So then I said, okay, fine. If I got to get this shot, I'm not going to do the 2, 3, 4 visit one. I'm going to do the one and done like every, you know, like most regular people do, and did the one and done. And I said, okay, but now in New York is opening up to the point where they're like, oh, you don't even need it. You can come. Sure. Come through. So it's like, oh, I did that for nothing, but still, jobs are still requiring it, so it's not like I did it for nothing. But
that's right.
Are you gonna make that? Are you gonna make that a
requirement,
a regulation, or when you know employ people for Trap City?
So I originally thought about that. Now, be completely honest with you, I am a vaccinated person, triple vaccinated.
Oh, okay.
And I thought about that, and I can honestly say I haven't come to a concrete solution for that yet. And that's just because of the size. If we were at maybe 50 employees, then I would say definitely. Yeah, just because the variables, you have too many people in close proximity. And again, if you didn't want to get vaccinated, then you would have to wear a mask at work.
Right.
You know, I'm not one to impose. I don't believe in that. You know, everyone is entitled to do what they want with their body. That's what true freedom is, you know? And so imposing something like that and saying like, you know, as a business owner, no, I wouldn't say that I would immediately push to have a mandate. I definitely would have a recommendation, and that's just for health reasons, having a recommendation, because, you know, we don't know where the state is eventually going to land on that. And even with the federal government and the states, you know, some states allowing it, other states are still mandating it. New York is opening up, but Kyrie can't play, but Kyrie can play now, you know.
Oh no, yeah. They decided they decided since they wanted to win it a championship. I ain't going. No, I'm just an unexperienced NBA watcher every now and then, and I see that y'all are going to let him play because y'all want to win a championship. Let that man go and let him do what he wants. See, that's my thing right there. See. You know what I mean? I felt forced, you know what I mean? Like me and my family, we felt forced into doing it because it was like either you do it or you can't, or you know what I mean? And so I feel like, you know, having, you know, the suggestion, like, okay, if you're not, okay, listen, I'm gonna need you to take a test every week, you know, that's cool. You know, you don't need to bring me no letter or nothing like that. Like doing it like that, I feel like you respecting that person's choice, because at the end of the day, it is a health choice. Like really, like that's the whole thing about this whole situation that we now live in. It's like they forgot that in essence they violated people's health fucking rights by making people show a card to go sit in a little funky ass restaurant. You know what I'm saying? I'm just okay.
No, I definitely can see your point on that, and definitely can see your position on that. However, unfortunately, this is America. And the same way how when kids are born, they get certain injections, and then by the time you go to school, they say you got to have these injections. As a kid, I never knew what they were stabbing in my arm. I had no idea. Only thing that the school nurse was telling us, and the doctors, the pediatricians were telling us is, this is going to help you. You know, this is going to help you. I'm from a generation where a kid in my class got chicken pox, and everybody's parents sent their kids to school. It was literally like, oh, so-and-so's got it. Okay, all of you get it at the same time, knock it out, and then that'll be it. You know, so I definitely can understand the position. That's why I say, like, the freedom, giving people the freedom to do, you know, and have that sort of decision, because you are talking about, you know, and obviously, let's be real, particularly people of color, we understand the history when it comes to health care and receiving health care. Just even now up to today, you know, it hasn't really changed, particularly, you know, specifically for women of color. Exactly. You know, understanding and knowing that you have doctors who will literally say, like, oh, well, you know, you're a woman of color, so you can absorb pain better. Exactly. You know, and, you know, all these different nuances is what I'll call them, that the healthcare system throws out there. It leaves people to say, you know, I don't trust healthcare. I don't trust anything that any government or any company, rather, that's getting money from the government I don't trust them to put that in my arm. And I can totally understand that. But for me, once I started seeing the death numbers, and I'm a science guy, once I started seeing the death numbers correlating with the infections, particularly in the beginning, when, you know, you living in New York, I'm in New York had it bad. You know, and a friend of mine who lives in Florida, I had to remind him, and I had to say, you have to understand, in New York, it's at a point where every time you hear an ambulance, you knew that was somebody with COVID. That was somebody who may not be going back to their house. They may not be coming back, you know, to see their families. And, you know, that becomes triggering, because you start realizing, like, your neighbor who you've known for 12 years, you know, he's passed away from COVID, or, you know, a cousin or a family member of yours, now they have long COVID. So understanding that, and then, of course, knowing that, you know, the science behind vaccines are not meant to stop an infection. Vaccines are meant to help you get over an infection and everything. I said, you know what, it's better to get out ahead of it, because I know how the rules were going to apply. And that's pretty much, once the federal government says, the CDC, NIH, Department of Health, and, you know, health services are saying, this is what we recommend, it's not going to be a recommendation for long. Right,
definitely. Yeah, I feel you. Like I said, I went and got it. We got it. All of us got it. All of us got the shot, and none of us was happy about it, but we got it. You know what I mean?
I mean, of course, and definitely, of course, I can totally understand that.
Word, but yeah, shoot, and I hope to see you. I mean, are you going to be at the yacht party?
Yes, I will.
But shoot, I hope to see you there. Absolutely.
We will definitely rub elbows and smoke joints.
Oh, because one of the things that I'm looking forward to do is because June 2nd is my husband's birthday, so we just gonna be celebrating all weekend just based on that. But
fresh out of Memorial Day weekend, going into the birthday. Okay.
Definitely.
Sounds like
fun. And like I told you, we absolutely have a connection with this new magazine coming out called Leading Industry Trends. I keep saying it wrong. It's Leading Industry Trends, and it's supposed to be a new cannabis magazine. I'm definitely going to be sending your information to the head person there, and she,
I appreciate that
because one of the things she wants to do an issue coming out this June, and she definitely wants to talk about the dispensaries that are open now, and the dispensaries that are up and coming. So I definitely want her to have your information, and I absolutely thank you for even excusing my high moment earlier, and making time to even be on the show, because I literally you don't understand, because I'm the one that does the setting up of the Zoom links. You know what I mean? I'm the one that does that shit. So literally my ass came home from work and was sitting here. I told the kids, yo, shut the fuck up. You already know what I'm gonna do. I got my L's rolled, everything. I'm sitting here, me and Ruby sitting here, and she like, yo, wasn't we supposed to do this at 7:30? I was like, nah. And I start hitting you up like, girl, what's going on? What you doing?
Yeah, I was on the FDR.
And you looking at me like, girl, what's going on with you?
Yeah, I was on the FDR when I got that first email, and I was like, wait. And then I looked at the time, and I was like, maybe they're just early, you know, maybe they just want to, they just want to get on real quick and, just kind of shoot the shit, maybe, And then you were like, at what time? And I'm like, I know I'm not high right now. I didn't miss this.
Exactly.
And then you were like,
you a sober mind talking to a high
7:30.
mind. Like, wait a minute. Okay, hold up.
We'll blame it on daylight savings. Blame it on daylight savings.
Yeah, that too. Because literally when I was talking to her, I was like, yo, maybe because he was like, I was like, yeah, maybe it's 7, he thinking it's 7:30 because it's daylight savings. No, I'm the one that set it up and forgot because because I smoke and
so it's allowed. Yeah. It's okay. No judgments. No judgments.
Exactly. Excuse that high moment.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm so sorry, y'all. Thank you so much. Kai yells at me about this all the time. I need to what's it called? Charge my devices and make sure they're charged. So it was amateur mistake. Now that but you know what? I want to focus on some positive shit. You know what I'm saying? Because this high level conversation is something that just got me all jazzed up. Lamont,
whoa. Pause.
What are we doing?
No, cause I just want to make sure. No, cause first of all, because I got in your business, right? I got in your business. So I did, right? So in case if Ruby get in your business, I need to explain to her, that you already had explained your business. So what he had said was, right? What he had said was that the woman that he had came in there with when he met you with, that wasn't his wife. That was his best friend. And he's single, and he ain't got no kids. So yeah. So behave yourself, girl.
Oh no, come on now. Kai, I'm a flirt for sure, but also I know that Lamont is a king in these streets, and I assume that you're actually gay, Lamont, because you said that. So yeah. So even though I got facial hair, I don't think it would do anything for him anyway. I got enough testosterone to where you might find me attractive if the ankles hit me right. But now I ain't going up that tree because I respect you and your space. I understand.
You are beautiful as you are.
Thank you, King.
No need for any testosterone, no facial hair, none of that. You are beautiful as you are. So trust and believe me. If it were, it would. And that's all I'll say.
Thank you so much. Are you dating anybody? Is there anybody that strikes your fancy?
Right now, I'm single, business oriented right now.
That's
not
right.
to say that, people are distractions or relationships are distractions. They're not. They can be blessings. However, I'm in empire mode right now. I'm in legacy mode right now. I'm very much like, you gotta be able, when it comes to that, just to speak on it, you gotta be able to meet me halfway. You gotta be able to meet me halfway. And halfway is not, for me, just being emotionally supportive. Like, you got to be able to come to the table and understand, like, this is a legacy being built. So if you want that Jay-Z, Beyonce type thing, you got to come to the table with that type of effort. You know what I mean? You can't come into this thinking you're going to do one album and that's it. Like, no, we're going to do a couple of tours. We're going to do a few more albums. We're going to get Blue Ivy in on this. There you go. We're going to build. We're going to build. You got to build, like I said, it's all about building that legacy. As me and my business partner and one of my close friends, Rob, always say, like, our goal is to have a family coat of arms. And a lot of people don't understand what that means. Like, when you get a letter from the Queen of England, you get that coat of arms seal. And you know what that means because you know whose house that came from. That's what I want.
That's right. Actually, my family and I talk about having a family crest too, in that same, sense, because we building empires over here. You know what I'm saying? And you know what's so ironic? Oh, do you have kids, by the way?
No,
not yet, but I want 4.
Nice. That's a nice solid number.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for the 4? Is it spiritual for you?
For me, it's just no middle kids.
Nice.
I'm a middle child. So I 4 is a good number.
Let me find out the middle one is the tortured one. Okay.
You know what? I will, as I tell my family members, I happily accept that because with being tortured, I became the most successful.
That's what
Say
I'm
that
talking
shit.
about.
That's what I'm talking about.
There
and
you
thank
go.
you for being vulnerable in that spirit of transparency. I'm a black sheep in my family. And it's so ironic because I'm so freaking family oriented. And I used to be labeled as a goody two shoes. I used to be labeled as a bunch of things. And then the latest thing I heard was that I was sex crazed and that something, I was irresponsible. But you know what I realized, you guys, that I have something called, and you might both have this, some called extreme perception. Extreme perception means that, well, let me put it this way, as my boy Gary Vaynerchuk proudly said, you can either escape this matrix with extreme wealth or extreme perception. No one can tell Ruby what Ruby is or Ruby does. No one can shame my name because Ruby and God, my creator, knows what's up.
Right.
And that extreme perception is what frees us from this matrix. And then come what may, all this money and all this whatever resources we do get, because we're deserving of it, is going to be cream on the cake.
Indeed. And Ruby, I gotta tell you that at a minute and 36, you came in right on time to
right on time.
I love you, Lamont. Thank you for being patient.
That's what's up. I appreciate that. That's some hot shit. I like that shit. But yes, but Lamont, we are so thankful for you being on the show. We are so thankful for all the, all the jewels you dropped, and definitely, when we drop this episode, we'll let you know. And of course, we are going to drop all your information in the description. So of course, anybody trying to hit you up is going to have your information. And thank you so much.
Trap City Green. We love y'all already.
Yes. And is in
the motherfucking building.
I just have to say thank both of you ladies. Ruby, as I said before, it was a pleasure meeting you in person. I would not be having this conversation if not meeting you and your glow and your spirit that day with my best friend. So I appreciate both of you for this wonderful opportunity that you've given me. And I definitely look forward to coming back, sitting across a desk with you guys, having a real chop it up conversation and really being able to just continue this progress. I'm hoping 10 years from now, we are all with coat of arms and families and legacies and sitting down in somebody's house on somebody's balcony with somebody's drinks.
Indeed.
Having a good time.